What is wrong with the American? Man? You know, we strike, we give it to one. How come we don't give it to nothing? You're stupid. That's what they say. You know, and I'm part French, but as an American, it's an insult because we have such a history of strikes. The longshoreman strike in '37, in 1927, the taxi cab strike. You know, it shuts people down, and the unions invented health care.
But talk to us about Taft-Hartley.
Taft-Hartley? That's how I got into SAG. I can tell you that much about it. That's about all I can tell you.
The Sixth Department is eliminated as a power for the worker tank.
It eliminated some. I'm not an expert on the act. I'm really not.
Well, the bottom line is that if your union has a strike, and my union cannot help you.
Right,
so
that's
it.
it.
There's a little bit of unions here and there and everywhere.
That's why we don't call it a strike. Yes, that's why we don't call it a strike. Exactly it. Because there's, they all have contracts against participating in wildcat strikes. And their contract, they could lose their contract. That's what they did in New York, what Bloomberg did in New York. They're trying to kill the unions even more. Same thing with Schwarzenegger in California. He ran that whole list of this whole laundry list of these crazy things in order for the unions to spend millions and millions of dollars to defeat them. And at the same time, Bloomberg was doing it in New York. This is what we're up against. But it doesn't take money. It takes us. And I'll make one other point. The way this works is that they're creating this machine that is so huge, so powerful, but it's also so hungry. It lives and lives on our labor. It starves for our labor, for our spending money, for the blood of our sons and daughters. That's what it lives on. And when we step back and we withhold it, it begins to get hungry and it begins to starve. And we starve it. And they know it. And this is why our strike says we want people to stay home. You're going to have to get friendly with your family. You're going to stay home with the kids and you have to make up for whatever was the problem for it. Because you got to stay in the house for 3 days. Because we enter the streets. We don't create any economy. We don't take the bus. We don't go to the ball game. We don't do anything. We stay inside. And it also keeps us safe. It keeps us safe from police brutality. It keeps us safe from arrest. It keeps us safe from everything. And every weapon that they have requires 2 things: ammunition and a target. We can't deplete them of ammo. They got all the ammo in the world. But we can deprive them of targets. And all this money they've spent to keep us suppressed is absolutely useless. Because we incarcerated ourselves. We did. And we're now no longer non-violent, we're also non-animated. We're not even moving. We're not doing anything. And they're absolutely helpless against us. They're helpless against us. Yes, ma'am.
First, you better give people enough warning so they could stop it underwater and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, you'll have some warning.
We're used to doing that with the hurricanes here, but
right.
I wanted to ask you about a component for young people, because that's one of the things, especially like Dr. Bowman and the talk yesterday and today, one of the things that was very apparent to me is the lack of younger people
right.
there. And I was wondering if you have a component maybe for students to walk out of school as
Well,
part of your...
they don't leave the house. Everybody stays home.
So you're saying school as well?
Sure.
So kids too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, in these 3 days, they can do their homework. Yes, it's the initial 72-hour. And depending on what Congress does, depending how it gets engaged, how, you know, you have to take it from there. That's when leadership is required to make the decision.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your organization? Who's protecting you, or are you still under the radar at this point?
Oh, me?
Who's protecting you?
Personally?
Or your organization? You know, the network?
Well, I'll tell you, I went to Barbara Boxer's office Friday? This last week about the executive order of July 17th, because I was concerned about this, if you all know about this, that they can block the property of anyone who is seen to undermine Reconstruction through acts or potential acts of violence. Okay, potential act of violence could be anything that could happen in a demonstration. And it targets U.S. citizens. So I was concerned about that.
Yeah.
I went to Barbara Box's office. The attorney for her office told me and expected me to walk out with the response that there's nothing Congress can do about executive orders. They can comment on them, but they can't do anything about it. And I said, oh, so we are living in a dictatorship. Which Boxer's office. I wasn't surprised, I gotta tell you, I wasn't surprised at all. But that's what they expected me to leave with. And I said, well, you got to go back to your lawyer because that's not right. And I waited for a second answer. the second answer was, well, actually, the guy sitting at the couch next to me, he had his BlackBerry, and he hit it up and he said, well, you know, Congress actually can't, no, wait, yes they can. They can actually withhold the funds of whatever it is that the executive order is calling for. So they can approach it that way. Or, as the guy came back out, they have to change the entire mission of the order. They can do that. So,